All right, hey everybody. So today we're gonna be trying something interesting and hopefully a lot of fun. I personally can't wait for this. I don't even need to introduce this guy. This is Mark Zuckerberg for those two people of you who don't know who this is. So what we thought we would do is take Photoshop and show you a simulation of what is possible. Let's paint the wall for him in Photoshop. This side of him is very well lit with this edge light right here. Some stuff to this window here. What we do on this channel is we try to celebrate awesome studios that people build to film videos at home or to show up on Zoom calls and interviews like this one. And so one thing that I love to do is to kind of show people and students in our course where we walk through this stuff, how to go about improving your own studio and kind of showing them the possibilities of what can be done to kind of motivate them to keep going. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to help Mark Zuckerberg today redesign his studio space. And obviously because even though I'm here in the Bay Area, so he's technically nearby, I think he's busy doing his own billionaire thing, so I won't bother him. And so what we thought we would do is take Photoshop and show you a simulation of what is possible. And so if Mark, for some reason, if you end up watching this and you want us to do this in real life, hit me up. You know where to find me on this channel, and we can kind of do this in person. But anyways, let's dive into it. So this comes from a series of interviews that Mark did with a bunch of YouTubers, Sarah Dietschy, Gary Vee, and other folks. This specific screenshot came from Sarah Dietschy, so Sarah, thanks for doing that. If you all haven't seen her interview with Mark, go check that out. She's an amazing fellow YouTuber and is doing awesome stuff. So right here we've got this nice shot with Mark here in his, I'm guessing is probably one of his many living rooms. And honestly, it's a pretty good start compared to what I see a lot of people starting off with. And I know Mark has professional guidance. He probably has a professional interior designer set this up. And honestly, it looks really good. And I think he had some professional videographers come in as well, because his camera and lens choice and the settings that he's used, they all seem like they're on point. But a couple things that I noticed that we could do differently are, actually, let's kind of walk through them one by one, and I'll sort of paint these in for you in Photoshop as we go through these. All right, but first, before we jump into this, I'm gonna crank up some music, which is why we have some AirPods in my ears right now, just to get in the zone and hang out with you all and have some fun with this. All right, so the first thing that I see in this shot is his camera is pretty well adjusted. Right now, you kind of see the blurry background, which is ideal. This is something that we always wanna have in our shots, because having an overly sharp background is kind of that digital webcam look that looks artificial. And really it's because as human beings, the way our eyes naturally see the world is the things that we're not focused on, the things we're not looking at are naturally blurry. And the things that we are looking at become in focus. And so even as you're walking through the world, you think everything's in focus, but it's only when you look at them that your eye naturally snaps that focus correctly. So in this shot, Mark has done an awesome job setting his camera settings as well as his lens choice to produce that really nice camera blur in the background. So that is awesome. All right, now one of the first things that catches my attention here is Mark kind of has a lot of the same colors on the top half of the screen as well as the same colors on the bottom half. So what I mean by that is his skin color right here is a little bit peachy, and it matches the wall directly behind him. And you could even go as far in saying that his hair is sort of a darker variation on that same warm peachy color. So it's almost as if this entire top half of the frame here is just one block of peach, and the bottom here is kind of the same darkish grayish color. And that can be something that you can work with, but I notice in this case, he just sort of melts into the background. If you squint your eyes a little bit, or if you're a glasses wearer like me, take off your glasses, take off your contacts, and you'll sort of just see these two large boxes on the screen, where one right here, this one is right here. It's all just like the same color, right? And so what we want to do is we want to cut him out of the background a little bit. So one way for us to do that is by potentially changing the color of the background. So in real life, you would paint your wall, but because obviously we don't have access to Mark's actual space, let's paint the wall for him in Photoshop. And case in point here, I'm trying to cut Mark out of the background right here, and it's almost impossible to tell where his neck ends and where the wall begins. So This is just another clue that his skin tone might be a little bit too close to the color of the wall behind him. All right, so the next thing I notice about this shot is the lighting. And lighting is this big, massive core piece of your studio that most people don't understand to look for. They intuitively know when something is lit well and it looks, wow, that looks so cinematic, or it looks like masterclass, for example. You got that masterclass look. And when it's not done right, when your lighting is off, people can sense that. And they often don't know it's because of the lighting, but they'll just intuitively know that something just doesn't look right. It doesn't look normal. So here, I think Mark has done some stuff awesomely well. And the first thing being that because he has this light source here, he's got light kind of pointing at his face at this angle. So you can see he's got this edge light. This, we call it a rim light, an edge light, a kicker light, whatever you want to call it, on this side of his body. You see how the lighting casts this brighter glow on the side of him here? And contrast that with this side of his body. Right? You see how this side just feels so much more 3D, it pops. You can tell that he's not just a magazine cutout that someone pasted onto another image, right? He's not a 2D flat person. Here he's really got these contours, and you can see in his shoulder here, everything pops. And again, that draws our eye to the subject. In this case, it's Mark, right? And so you want to have some lights pointing at you, not just from the front, but from the sides as well. And in this case, this window happens to do that pretty well because it just happens to be there, right? And by the way, I think the window is a little bit bright, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I'll show you a little bit how we can fix that and how you can fix that in real life in your studio if you want to have a window in the background. But anyways, the first thing we want to do is we want to add a little bit of that glow to the other side of Mark. And the way that we would do that in real life is you would normally have another light source here. So this is not a stick figure, this is a light. And you want to put this anywhere on the side. We're just going to draw it right here. And you want to shine some light right from here and shine some light onto you, the subject. And this would normally go off screen, off camera. But since I can't draw off camera in Photoshop, that just kind of picture that in your head being outside the frame. So what we're gonna do is we're going to use some Photoshop magic to approximate what that would look like. All right, so this is Mark with a little bit of light painted in from the side. One other thing we wanna do here is we also wanna add a little bit of this spotlight to him. And this is a very cool subconscious effect to have on your audience. When you are under a spotlight, people assume that you are the person with something worth listening to. They think you have something valuable to say because we associate spotlights with people who are on stage, whether you're at a concert that you paid to listen to, or someone giving a performance. We just naturally gravitate to those where we see a light kind of shining at them from the top. And so in this case, what we want to do is we want to add that in the form of a hair light for Mark. And just to demonstrate what that would look like in real life, so this is what a hair light normally looks like. You want to have something up top here shining down. I don't have that much room to draw, so I'm drawing right here. But it would, again, normally be off screen. And you want it to give you a little bit of that spotlight effect, so it should be landing on your shoulders here, as well as the top of your head. And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna draw that in so you can see what I mean. Moving on, the next thing that we wanna do is we wanna add some stuff to this window here. So one thing we want to do is we want to take this window and we want to bring down the brightness, but we still want to see outside because there's so many nice textures and it gives this feeling of space. So you're not cornering the viewer in this video frame. They feel like there's more stuff beyond the background. And so in this case, what we would want to do is we would take some sort of neutral density film. It's called ND film, and we would put that on the window so that it almost acts like sunglasses to block out a lot of that extra light. And the way we're gonna do that in Photoshop is by darkening that layer just a little bit. So we're gonna do that. You can see the before and the after, right? So now once you have these darkened windows, again, the room starts to come together a little bit more and Mark starts to pop. This is the most important thing that we wanna keep coming back to. You want to make yourself the center of attention. As egotistical as that sounds, that's the reason people are here for you, right? Watching your videos, being there with you, and say if this is an interview or a Zoom call, you want to be that focus. And you don't want to waste any of that person's willpower just trying to keep their attention on you. And so this is why eliminating these distractions is so important. But at the same time, you still want to have these textures there so they don't get bored. So that's what we've done here with the window. All right, so the next thing that catches my attention too is the color of his shirt. It's just so dark here. And number one, it sort of just makes him feel like he's part of the background because the whole background is the same exact color. But number two, you just can't see any detail because it's so dark. So what I want to do is I want to make him pop along both of those fronts, making it a different color so he stands out, as well as making it bright enough for you to see him. So thanks to the magic of Photoshop, let's give him a different color shirt and let's play around to find the right color. All right, so I've gone ahead and changed up the color of his shirt just a little bit. You can see what it was before. And it's super dark and really hard to see, and it's kind of like he's just this floating head atop this black hole. But then I went ahead and I brightened it, added a little bit more of this brightness, and then changed it to a little bit more of a lighter, desaturated blue. And I was going to change it a little bit more drastically so that it's not as close to the background color. But one thing I wanted to point out is that skin undertone still plays a big factor. So originally I wanted to pick a color choice for Mark's shirt that was a little bit different than the bluish color scheme he's got going on behind him in this shot. Because again, we don't want him to blend in too much. But at the same time, there's this other factor we have to keep in mind when it comes to choosing the right color of clothing that you wear. And that is the undertone of your skin. So this gets a little bit complicated, but to simplify it for this video, you wanna pick a color that makes you not look too sunburned or pale and sickly. And that happens when we don't match the color correctly to what's best for our skin. So if your skin is more of this cooler undertone, if you sunburn easily, chances are you probably have a cooler undertone. And if you have more of an olive colored skin, you are a warm undertone. And so in this case, because he's got kind of this, I would say, it might be my monitor, but I have a sense that he has more of this cooler undertone. You wanna wear cooler colors in your clothing. So if I were to change this something to like a bright red, he would actually look a little bit sunburned, right? I don't know if you all can see this, but he's starting to look a little bit sunburned here. And so we don't wanna do this. We don't wanna make you wear the colors that are gonna make you look your worst. We want to find colors that make you look your best. And so in this case, this actually happens to be, I think, when he's wearing blue, which is why I think whoever he's choosing to style everything that he's got going on probably chose a lot of blue for him. So that's why we're just gonna keep it this way. And we're just gonna keep playing with it and see what we can do with this. All right, now that we've got his shirt color picked, I kinda wanna go back to the wall and change it up a little bit because I think we have a little bit more flexibility on the wall color here now that we've identified specifically what his shirt color should be. So I'm gonna desaturate the wall behind him just a little bit, see if that does anything. So the next thing that I noticed that I kind of want to fix for Mark in this shot is he's got this area right behind his head that's just got a bunch of glare on the wall. I'm not entirely sure what it's from. It might be from their video equipment or originally the light streaming in from the window, but I think it's a little bit distracting and it's coming out of his head. And so I want to remove that. So we're going to do that next. All right, so I'm loving how this is actually turning out. Taking a look back at what it used to look like real quick. This is how we started and this is how it's going so far. And I think there's still a lot more that we can do with this. So the number one thing I'm noticing right now is Mark's background looks a little bit empty here behind him. It looks great on the sides because there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of texture on the sides, which I think looks great, right? But there's not a lot in the center, which is why I wanna maybe add something here. And there's a couple different things we can add. You can add anything from plants to wall art to maybe some lamps or something. So let's play around with that right now. So what you can do, or what we can do right now, is go into Pinterest. And we've just been kind of doing some searches beforehand, just playing with what kind of stuff we can add. So this is hanging lights. Also Pinterest here, we've been searching up some plants. And for those of you who are putting together your own studios, searching Pinterest is a very, very good resource as a place to start to figure out what other people have done. So you can start borrowing ideas and start learning on your own to see what type of stuff might look good in your space. So I highly recommend checking out Pinterest. They're not a sponsor of this video, but Pinterest, if you're watching this, I would definitely welcome that. I think you guys are building such a great product, and I would love to promote you all. So get in touch, Pinterest, if you're watching this. So over here, I'm just noticing there's a whole bunch of really nice plants, and this is one that catches my eye specifically. I think this is actually an ad, but who cares? Let's see if we can use this. And I think this one too. I really like this plant. So let's just grab a couple of these. Cool, all right. So that's what we've got so far. We've added that plant in there. And I think we wanna add something over here too, just a little bit to make sure that it's, again, filling in the whole space. So here I would love to add maybe like a lamp of some sort. All right, so now we've given Mark a lamp, and I think there's a couple things we need to do to this lamp to make sure that it fits in correctly. I want to add some of the lighting so that it goes correctly with the rest of the scene. And then I also want to find a way to make it turn on. So let's try that. Just to recap, this is what we've done so far. We've taken this shot of Mark in his home studio, what I'm presuming is his living room, and we've gone ahead and first of all changed the background color. And so normally what you would do is you'd paint your wall and it would look like this. We've also gone ahead and changed this glare that he's got going on. And so this is the result of that. And I think this is already a huge improvement. And then after that, we've gone ahead and added some of the lighting effects that you would normally want to see once you've had like a team of people in Hollywood design the shot for, say, a documentary interview or something. And so when people see this, it's an immediate wow factor. They often don't, again, know why they think it looks better, but it does. Next, we've gone ahead and changed his shirt. And so it's a little bit dark. It's a little bit difficult to see, and so therefore he feels like a floating head in this shot. But now when we've changed the brightness of it, now, bam, it's a lot easier for you to make out exactly what you're looking at. And also, I think this also makes Mark look a little bit more personable and a little bit more like a guy you want to have a beer with, right? And so that is a huge thing that I think people often overlook too. How you're presenting yourself isn't just what you're saying. It's every downstream choice you make resulting in your clothing choice, your background choice, the decorations you put in your background, and all that stuff. All right, and then after this, we also went ahead and we reduced the brightness actually of this wall here, the window, sorry. And then we added the tree and the lamp in the background. And so again, this fills in some of this empty space that he's got and really makes his home feel like a much more inviting space rather than just a blank warehouse looking section of wall behind him. And so I think all that's left to do now is to add a little bit of these color effects that you normally see in professional documentaries or say masterclass or whatever it is that you're creating. And keep in mind, this happens in the video editing process, but can also be done in the Zoom phase. So if you want to have nice crafted colors in a Zoom call, you can actually run your video feed through some software like OBS or Ecamm, put on what's called a LUT, a lookup table. It's just a color preset. It's like a filter. You can run your Zoom stuff through this kind of filter to get these effects. So even though I'm doing this in Photoshop, keep in mind, this is totally doable in your actual video setup scenario, right? I'm just simulating what you would be doing in real life. Before we do that, I need to tidy up this edit a little bit. I wanna make sure we've gotten all the edges correct. And also, super minor thing, make sure you've got clean clothes when you're on camera. Just wanna, you wanna make sure that there's not these little tiny stains or little, in this case, lint he's got on his shirt, but no big deal. All right, so that's that. This is the before once again, and compare that to the after where we've made a whole bunch of changes. Once again, all changes that you can make in your own studio space as you make your decisions for how to set up your filming setup at home. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Again, all of these things that we went through are just little tiny bits of tools in your toolbox that when you combine together can really create an effect that you can be proud of, and kind of have that shield of confidence, that suit of armor, right? When you're stepping on camera, it helps you to feel a little bit more confident in what you're bringing to your audience, and know that it is of value and that it will get their attention, and hopefully get your videos a little bit less overlooked when you put them online, because people see that intrinsic indicator of quality and they know that your content is going to bring something of value to them. And I'm really glad with how it turned out. And so if you enjoyed this, definitely let me know in the comments and we'll make more of these videos for you all, and suggest any other videos or links to other interviews that you think we can also do a better job of too. If there's any specific person's interview setup or anyone's setup in general that you would like us to redesign in this way, definitely check out some more of these other videos that we have on the topic. That's what we're doing here on this channel, and I hope you're enjoying what we're doing because we definitely are having a lot of fun. And so yeah, that's it. I hope to see you in one of these other videos. And Mark Zuckerberg, if you happen to be watching this video, I'd love to help work on your studio. If the 0.001% chance that you're looking for someone to help you out, hit me up and we can get you set up. Anyways, thanks everybody. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.